Good morning. It's Tom Padula from Insegna Booksellers and TomPadulaTV on YouTube, and this is the fifth lesson, Italian lesson, and language lesson, because what I do in the next hour, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes for warming up and, coming on to the actual program, and also letting you know that I have another 2 hours a week that I dedicate to myself, basically, but also to you in mind. And that is, I'm reading Dante Alighieri on a Sunday, Dante Alighieri, La Divina Commedia, Inferno. I just finished Canto 10, and the next Sunday it'll be Canto 11. Interesting. And also world history on a Thursday evening from 7:25 to 8:30, same time as with the Dante. And again, I give myself 5 minutes to warm up, and people come on, get ready for the lesson. The lesson will start at 11:30 precisely and finish at 12:30. Well, give or take a few seconds or minute, but that's the idea, to give 1 hour a week to the study of languages. And because I am a teacher of Italian and French and history, I thought I would do this online. I would never have thought of doing this, that it would actually happen, because I wrote a poem many years ago relating to la scuola e la televisione. So that's it. Now, I'm approaching the teaching of Italian in a different way, and languages in general, with the idea of languages in mind, because I truly believe that la pratica, practicing the language, is the most important aspect of any language. For example, with my French, I've done it to university level, but I've never lived in France or lived with French people and speaking it on a regular basis. So la pratica, practice, is what counts, really. But without la grammatica, without the grammar, you can't really understand what you're actually doing linguistically, because you need to be able to refer back to the rules. It's a bit like with governing, and you govern yourself in language by learning the rules. And once you learn the rules, then you know more or less what is possible, what can be done, what is wrong, maybe, or to be corrected, or somewhere in the middle. Because language also is not a precise science. It moves with the times. It changes over time. So it's important to realize that la pratica batte la grammatica. But non puoi migliorare o perfezionare la lingua. You cannot better your language or perfect it, the language you want to learn, if you're learning a second language. So that's the way. So what are the things, how can we practice the language? It doesn't matter really what you do, as long as you read in that language, and as long as you get involved in it, and as long as you maintain your enthusiasm for it, because you cannot learn the whole lot in one go. It takes a long time, and it would be preferable if you had someone else who's learning the language with you, who's got the same interest as you. And that's important. So today I'm basically going to do a lot of pratica and a lot of explanations. I'm not going to use the board all that much, and going back to it. But what I will do, I have here in front of me certain elements of the language that I would like you to learn as a result of this particular presentation of mine today. Now, other thing too, during the week I put on Insegna.com. If you go to Insegna.com, there's a list, and it says blog. Under blog, you will find the 10 cantos of the Inferno, what I've done over the last 2 months, so that they've been put up, and two of the programs, two of the hours for both history and Italiano. Okay, so it's 11:30 and I'm going to start. All right, so what do I do here? Okay, let's go. Let's go to this. La pratica batte la grammatica, ma senza la grammatica non puoi migliorare o perfezionare la lingua che vuoi imparare. Now, which language? Italiano, francese, spagnolo, cinese, inglese, arabo, turco, greco, russo, and all the other languages. All languages have this particular important tool that's called grammar. Now, last time we said that, and I'm going to go back to what we did last time. Here we are. We did the 9 parts of speech. This is the one that I want to go back to every single day. Now, we did the noun, article, and adjective so far. I gave you a little bit of an element of the pronoun, and I will explain the verb today, but we're not going to do the verb, just going to explain what it is, what is the verb. And also, then we'll have adverb, preposition, conjunction, explanations, which are the invariable parts of speech. I will put them up as we go along with the various, with the various, topics that I will cover as we go along. Okay, so basically that's it. If you remember, I'll go to this noun, article. There you are, indefinite article, and the article, moral article. Then we went to the words, if you remember, words of Carissimo Pinocchio, the song, Una spina, una rosa, and then we also continued with showing some of the, adjectives that were present in the song Carissimo Pinocchio. And then we also had In Via dei Ciclamini, which is another song. We did the words in there and also the adjectives, as you can see. So I'll come back to the adjectives a lot more. Then we also had some of the verbs, more words here of Dio come ti amo. And I wanted you to, basically, translate those, la nuvola, il mare, il fazzoletto, l'amore, etc. All you have to do is really go to YouTube, go to Google and bring up Dio come ti amo, the lyrics of those songs. Okay, now, so you can see we are sort of moving on. We're moving on with the lesson in terms of the explanation of the 9 parts of speech. Now, if you remember also, we did this one here. I'm going to show you the prepositions. These are the prepositions here, the table, and you'll find them in your old Italian school books, whatever, so that you can have a little, a little revision of what you've learned, and we're going to go on. And buongiorno Marisa, grazie che sei venuta online. I appreciate that very much. Okay, now the next one is the pronouns. We'll look at the pronouns as well. This is the subject pronouns. Okay, and now also I began with the auxiliary verbs. Io sono, tu sei, lui è, lei è, noi siamo, voi siete, loro sono. So these are the basic, some basic elements that I explained in, in the past, in past lessons. And as I said, if you want to look at the first lesson 1 and 2, they are now online in Insegna.com. In the section there that's got the blog, got all the languages. Just become familiarized with Insegna.com so that I can communicate with you through it, because my presentations will be all available free online, and they stay there. I don't have to repeat myself each week, but the practice, you can practice with a friend or by reading or by singing, anything. Now, la pratica batte la grammatica. So what do we practice? What are the things that are common to all languages, including French, Spanish, Russian, Chinese, all of them? They all have these ones here. The days of the week, I giorni della settimana. There you are. And in Italian, of course, there's also a little story about each one, why they're called lunedì, martedì, mercoledì, giovedì, venerdì, sabato, domenica. Now, you notice that lunedì, that di with an accent, di without the accent means off, but the di with the accent means day. So the day of the moon, the day of Mars, Marte, the god of war, Mercury, and they're also planets. Giovedì, the wife of Jupiter, Juno. Venerdì, Venere is Venus. Again, they're also planets. Sabato, the Sabbath, that's from Jewish tradition, the Sabbath, which is holy for them. But Domenica, the day of the Lord, is a Christian one. So you can see there's been an influence there with the days of the week. Now, if you don't know anything in a language, you should automatically learn the days of the week. It's like when you do maths, you have to learn your tables. It's very important. So, lunedì, martedì, mercoledì, giovedì, venerdì, sabato, domenica. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche in French. Okay, so these are the languages that I know and, that I've studied. But, of course, my French is not, from a point of view of grammar, yes, but from the point of view of actual practice, no. I don't have that. I'm still working on it. So that was one. Now, so that's the days of the week. So it's an important part of our lives, the days of the week. Every day we get up. Now, the next one that is important to look at is as follows. The months of the year. Now, the months of the year, I mesi dell'anno, and Marisa, yes, the connection is there. I can't answer you. I'm going to follow the lesson because this will remain online for a long time. But I can, any questions, I will answer them after the lesson. Okay, the months of the year, I mesi dell'anno. Again, the months of the year are common to all throughout the world. But some, for example, in the history lesson, I mentioned that the calendar was created by Egyptian farmers 4,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago. So, in the Neolithic age. So, I mesi dell'anno, the months of the year. Once upon a time, there were only 10 months. Now, I'll show you which ones have got, why we've got 12 months now. So, let's have a look. Gennaio, febbraio, marzo, aprile, maggio, giugno, luglio, agosto, settembre, ottobre, novembre, dicembre. So you should know them like this. Gennaio, febbraio, marzo, aprile, maggio, giugno, luglio, agosto, settembre, ottobre, novembre, dicembre. Janvier, février, mars, avril, etc., etc. If I don't revise my French one, I actually forget. So I'd have to look it up. And with the Chinese, the same. And with the Turkish, the same. And with the Spanish, the same. So all languages have got this in common. But this is the Roman, these are the Roman months. Well, these months here began, as I said, in Egypt, they're divided in ancient Greece. But the actual luglio, agosto, July, August, didn't come into play until Luglio is like Julius Caesar. It was named after him. And Augusto was his nephew, Augustus, the great emperor. When Julius Caesar got killed, was murdered by his own, in the Senate, in the Roman Senate. Then Augustus, after, I think, a few years, he beat all the others and he became emperor, and he became a very great emperor of Rome, because they had a lot of land. I will come back to this history part as well. The language is also connected with the historical facts. So, Gennaio, January, Janus is the actual it's actually, again, it's actually the god, the main god, the king of the gods. Fibo is Febbraio, is the sun. Marzo, Mars, again, connection with Mars, with the god of war. And it makes sense in Roman times because they used to have wars in, I think, in early spring. And then they had to work hard to collect their wheat, etc. So when they had nothing to do, after the cold weather, they went to war and tried to grab something else from their neighbours. Or, work with them. Things continued. Maggio, again, another one of the goddesses. Giugno, this is Jupiter. Luglio, Agosto. Settembre, sette means 7. October means 8. November means 9. And December means 10. So there were only 10 months. If you take out Luglio, Agosto, you end up with 10 months. About 40 days plus each. So that's how it worked out before. So now this scheme here is available in all the other languages too. So if you want to learn Spanish, you want to learn French, you want to learn any other language, you have to go into this. Otherwise, you're not doing much more. So that's where we are now with I mesi dell'anno. So the days of the week, the months of the year. And of course, the whole of each year, and the Egyptians had worked out that there were only 365 days rather than 365 days, and then one day every 4 years you had to add it on. That came later. So, of course, in Mediterranean lands, we also have the seasons. So, le stagioni. The seasons, primavera, estate, autunno, inverno, le stagioni. Primavera, estate, autunno, inverno. Now, again, these are the seasons for the Mediterranean lands, because you don't have a primavera in the equatorial lands. It's always hot, or in cold climates in the North Pole. They don't have the seasons as we know them. With the trees and the flowers, etc. In the tropical lands, it's always hot, and it's we enjoy. They enjoy the seasons all year round, but you'd have to study how each season, for example, each season actually works out. In Melbourne, we worked out with someone else that we've got about between 6 and 8 seasons each year. So if you look at the year and how it unfolds each year, you find that there are certain patterns to do with that. So, la primavera, l'estate, l'autunno, l'inverno. If you put the article, you can put la primavera, l'estate, l'autunno, l'inverno. I didn't put it there on purpose. All right, so these are the 3 ones that you need to learn and know off by heart. It doesn't matter which language you're studying, these 3 you need to learn off by heart. And whilst you're doing all this learning, you also check out the words. And the words you can pick up from anywhere at all. Now, the next one that I've got here is I numeri, the numbers. Now, the numbers, of course, again, the numbers are the same for all languages. We have these. We have these numbers around the world, regardless of the language. So, here we go. I numeri. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice the double T-R. 5. Notice Q-U, it's cinque. 6, notice sette. You go up 1, sette. It's like a little hill. 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, notice here, now, because I'm reading these, 1, 2, 3, 4, Now, this where the phonology comes in, a study of the pronunciation and the intonation of word. But the pronunciation is number one, because Italian is a syllabic language. No, but due, it's all one. Tre, quattro, QUI, cinque, sei, sette, otto, nove. Notice 10. Compare 10 to sei. EI, and here it's IE. Now, sei, that EI there is called hiatus. And this one here, 10, D-I-I-E, is called a diphthong. Diphthong, when two vowels come together. The Italians have got 5 vowels. A, E, I, O, U. And the E and the U, when they combine with others. And I have to come back to the phonology here another day for another lesson. It'll be a different lesson to this one. Okay, the next one is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's, so notice here the numbers and how the phonology now comes in. Notice undici. There are 3 syllables there. U-N-D-I-C-I. Undici. Dodici. But D-R-E, tre. It's one sound. Tredici. 14. 14. No, it's double T. 14. 15. 16. Again, 3 syllables there. 17, 18, 19, 20. And this syllabic way of looking at the words, believe it or not, when people write poetry and they want things to rhyme, that's what they look at. They look at this. Very important. Now, going back to what we said, la pratica batte la grammatica. So what we've done now so far is pratica. So days of the week, months of the year, the seasons, the numbers. So if I gave you a test, let's say, you'd have to get all of those right, both orally and in writing. So if you want to learn a language properly, you write them over and over again. You get the words again. You can always Google the words, Italian numbers. They come up. The season, days of the week, and you can self-correct your work. So when you self-correct your work and you've done la pratica, this is la pratica, okay? So this is la pratica here. That's where it is. And also, then, especially with the seasons, and if you want to do a little bit of research, go to lunedì, say, where does the word come from? And that study there, it's called etymology, the study of words. Where do words come from? So you get etymology. I've got dictionaries here, etymological dictionaries. Again, each word has a bit of history. And notice primavera, estate, autunno, inverno. When you want to use the articles there, definite article, indefinite article. Una primavera è bellissima. O la primavera del 1990 era fantastica. L'estate, o quest'estate. So the adjectives, articles, adjectives, they combine with the season. So that's important. So once you've got that, and you have you have this pratica behind you, very important. Now, what I thought I'd do today as well, I thought, okay, what am I going to ask people to learn before anything else? Because you speak English already. So if you speak English already, surely you know the words for la scuola. How many words relating to school do you have in your head now when you speak English? How many words? La scuola, il corpo. So let's go back. Developing words is the most important part of learning a language, because without the words, you forget about learning it. You need words. Words. Most dictionaries have got between 4,000 to 6,000 words, but the really long dictionaries go up to 300,000 words, because those words there in the bigger dictionary come from the specialisation of each topic. Il corpo, for example, you got the hand, okay, you got the fingers. But if you are a doctor, you want to know how many nerves there are, and you have to name them. How many bones are there? And that's where the 300,000 plus words, even 500,000 words, exist. Now, in some cultures, that are going to a bit of history here. In some cultures, what happens is that you don't have a study of signs in detail as we have it today. In the past, they had lo stregone, the magician. You take this herb and it'll fix you up, sort of thing. So even the history of medicine has got a long history, and it's made up of getting it and missing it as well. So when we complain about the vaccines, this and that, so it's true, because they can miss. But without that miss, you can't get non c'è guadagno, there's no gain without pain. So you have to know this inside. We are human and we want to progress all the time. Now, the way you do it is by always going deeper and deeper into knowledge. But don't forget, when you go deeper and deeper in one area, that doesn't mean that then you know the same in another area. So that's where the respect of the other person who is a professional comes in. Now, there's some people are very, can be arrogant in their ways, because sometimes you want people to, when you're too nice, basically, people think they can take advantage of you. And so it's okay. That's good too, because otherwise, violence begets violence. So you have to exercise your patience in life, and that's and with languages, unfortunately, that's what you need. More than anything else, you need a lot of enthusiasm. You need a lot of patience, because your knowledge grows like on a tree. It doesn't come naturally. And if you've done Italian before and you haven't lived in Italy, and you speak English every day, how can anyone blame you for not knowing certain things in Italian? Because you know them in English. But if you go to Italy, then you're like un pesce fuor d'acqua, you're like a fish out of water, if you don't know it well to the level that they have. But you can never replicate the life of an Italian in Italy and the life of an Italian in Australia, of a person of Italian background, because we become Australians as we move on. And the society changes around us as well, because once you learn the language, just think about it, the first generation Italians, a lot of them didn't speak English for a whole 50 years. They don't have this bilingual thing. They went to work in factories, etc. They didn't become teachers. I've been very fortunate to be able to live a life that dedicated to languages, because I knew that this area here, I was attracted to it rather than me choosing it. That's the way I live. I'm attracted to things and I follow those. So in the same with you. You're attracted to whatever. So with learning languages, and that's what you can't do in a classroom, you can't have these discussions here, because this philosophical discussion about learning and how you learn and where things come from, you can't be interrupted when you, this is called a lecture. When you go to university, they give lectures. So in other words, they're not teaching, because in classes, the actual subject matter is the last thing you've got to worry about. And a lot of people, including me, didn't realize that for a long time, because there's more to it than meets the eye when you are looking after so many people. But then when you've got 6 or 7 classes and you've got so many people in front of you each day and each week, again, you can't. You can only then get to the knowledge after the experience and after a period of reflection. So if you've learned Italian in the past and you think, yeah, I don't know very much about it, well, read some more. Because you're not in Italy, and if you want to practice it, a parlare in italiano, la miglior cosa è di fare un po' di teatro. Theatre helps a lot when you have to learn whole parts. And singing, join a choir, you learn the words of the songs. And that's what I'm using now. For example, I've chosen this one here. Fiorin Fiorello. And I've done this in my history lesson, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, what I'll do now with Fiorin Fiorello, just to break it up, I'm going to actually sing it. Let's see. Okay? And you can sing it along too. Fiorin Fiorello, ok? Oggi tutto il cielo è in festa, più ridente brilla il sole, e non so perché vedo intorno a me tutte rose e viole. Il mio cuore innamorato non lo posso più frenare, io non so cos'è, c'è qualcosa in me che mi fa cantare. Fiorin fiorello, l'amore è bello vicino a te, mi fa sognare, mi fa tremare, chissà perché. Fior di margherita, cos'è mai la vita, se non c'è l'amore che il nostro cuore fa palpitar. Fior di verbena, se qualche pena l'amor ci dà, fa come il vento che in un momento poi passa e va. Ma quando tu sei con me, io son felice perché Fiorin fiorello, l'amore è bello vicino a te. So if you had the song, the singing, again, singing is you have to sing with the music. When there's music there, the words almost take they're secondary, because most musicians look after the music. And music is like maths, it's very precise. Whereas singing, you want to put some emotion in it. And, the good singers, they sort of stretch the words out, oggi tutto, the way they do it, all right, so because they want to show off their voice. But the songs generally are got beautiful little stories. Oggi, today, tutto il cielo, look at that, we'll look through the words, il cielo, è in festa, but you can say la festa, più ridente, brilla il sole, il sole. E non so perché vedo intorno a me tutte rose e viole. Well done, Marisa, brava. You sang it correctly. I've got another few because I've got to fill up the whole hour, so I'll do different ones. But you can look up this Fiorin Fiorello. Again, go to Google, get the lyrics and copy them out, and you can, as a practice, that's what I've done with Fiorin Fiorello, with the other words. I get the words, like here, with Pinocchio, you remember? You actually pick up the words, and you learn your words like that. And you also enjoy what you are doing. So that's one of the things. And I've done a study over the last couple of years of all the Italian singers. And one of them, look at this, Domenico Modugno, see? That's the story of Domenico Modugno. So I have, because I'm very fortunate, I'm surrounded by books all day, so it's a dream come true here. Okay, before we go to the next song, I just want to show you this one here. La scuola e il corpo, il vestiario, capi di abbigliamento, clothing, make a list of clothing. La famiglia, make a list of the family words. Gli animali, la casa, il giardino, i pasti, i cibi, le bevande, meals, food and drinks. So these are words that I don't want you to write them in English, in Italian. Write them in English. I want you to make a list of these words, of these ones, even if you do the first two for next week. But these are the ones that is, for somebody for a week, you should, every time you remember a word relating to school or the body or the family, animals, you write it down. Get a little exercise book and write the English words, and next to it put the Italian words. Believe it or not, I still have to look up some words myself when I do my lessons here. Okay, so that's it. Now, this is the way you do it. See the school? The school, the teacher, the table, the chair, the blackboard, the chalk, the piece of chalk. You don't have to put the thou all the time. Just put school, teacher, table, chair, blackboard, chalk, piece of chalk, class, classroom, lesson, pupil, desk, book, etc., etc., etc. That's basically that's basically it. That's what you need to do now, because this is la pratica. Don't forget, this is la pratica. La grammatica we've done a bit. Now, this is la mazurka della nonna, is another one that I've actually, I'll put it up on my Facebook page after I finish this lesson. There are 4 songs that we sang with Dora and Rina, and this is one of them. But I'm going to do that now. La mazurka della nonna. Quando senti l'orchestrina tra una danza americana che strimpella una mazurka dall'aria paesana, pensi allora alla quadriglia d'un bel tempo che passò, quando usava la pariglia attaccata all'ando, quando non c'erano i tanghi e i foxtrot. Ah, la mazurka che ballava la mia nonna, con le trecce a penzoloni e con i mutandoni sotto la sua gonna. Quando mio nonno, per baciare la sua mano, non usava la scaletta ma la bicicletta fino al primo piano. I giovincelli di 20 anni o poco più, come eran belli, coi baffoni per l'insù. Ah, la mazurka d'un bel tempo assai lontano, quando prima di sposarsi stavano a guardarsi con le mani in mano. Or si balla la carioca, il sassofono rimbomba, ma mio nonno suona ancora il grammofono a tromba. Pensa in me con nostalgia all'antica gioventù, quando allora ogni Maria non era Mario. Com'era bello quel tempo che fu. Ah, la mazurka che ballava la mia nonna, con le trecce a penzoloni e con i mutandoni sotto la sua gonna. Quando mio nonno, per baciare la sua mano, non usava la scaletta ma la bicicletta fino al primo piano. I giovincelli di 20 anni o poco più, come eran belli, coi baffoni per l'insù. Alla mazurka d'un bel tempo assai lontano, quando prima di sposarsi stavano a guardarsi con le mani in mano. Now, notice the songs here. There's one, generally most Italian songs of the old-fashioned Italian songs, they've got a first una strofa at the beginning, then they've got the ritornello, the chorus. That's the chorus there, and then a second strofa, and you repeat the chorus. So if you go to, YouTube, and you get La Mazurka della Nonna, the people who sang it in the past will come up, and you'll be able to listen to the original song. So that's another one. Now, this one here too, there are some words that we might not know, like l'orchestrina, quadriglia, that's a type of dance, la quadriglia, la pariglia, to do with, with oxen, landau, again, attaccata landau, maybe like electric pole, something like that. Quando è foxtrot, I tanghi e i foxtrot, they are dances. So, mia nonna, le trecce a penzoloni, I mutandoni, la scaletta, di 20 anni, poco più, stavano a guardarsi con le mani in mano. So, in other words, they weren't allowed to touch each other. They just got married by, because they put them together. So, you got to marry this person, that's it. Or si balla la carioca, it's another dance, South American dance. So there you are. This joke here, quando allora ogni Maria non era Mariù, because, they sort of upgraded the words in the 30s, and this is one of the songs from the 30s, I think. Okay, so that's La Mazurka della Nonna. So I'm quite happy to keep going, because we are doing today, as I said, we're doing today la pratica, not la grammatica. Very little grammatica, but as I said, la grammatica, I will keep going. But before I do the next one, I want to talk about the verb, structure of the verb, okay? Just let me have a drink. Okay. And I'm going to read here. Whoop. Where are we? Here we are. I'm reading, okay? So that's the explanation. All right, let me explain it. Structure of a verb. The verb is the most important part of speech in any language and should therefore be learned as thoroughly as possible. If you are a little uncertain about its general structure, the following notes may help to refresh your memory. So before I actually going to tackle the verb for you from a grammatical point of view, we're going to take some notes here. In this book, you will find tables showing the conjugation of Italian verbs. Any of the grammar books will give it to you. To conjugate a verb means to show all its different forms. So, I have bookshelves full of this stuff. But you have to learn it for yourself. The difference between you learning and someone else doing it for you and explaining it is not quite, for example, listening and reading are sort of passive thing. You are listening to somebody else, reading someone else's work. But speaking and writing, that's your own personal development. And then you have to come back to yourself. So you have to learn, you have to know the difference. You need a lot of practice with speaking if you want to speak Italian. And as I said, the best way of doing it is through theatre, teatro, recitations, singing. Just go along, do the things that you love doing. Even reading a recipe in Italian. I've got a lot of cookbooks. I've got about 50, 60, 70 boxes full of cookbooks, Italian cookbooks and English cookbooks. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. No one, But that's the problem. The problem is that we've got a lot of knowledge around us now, and our time is precious. And therefore, it's very important, in a way, to realise, to give some of that time for your own personal development, even if you're an adult. I truly believe that I'm learning all the time now. Learning is from when you're born to when you go. And then, presumably, you keep on learning even afterwards. We'll see what happens. No one has come back to tell me. Verbs can be transitive or intransitive. What transitive? Trans means, transitive and intransitive. So the verb can be transitive apart from the conjugations. It's transitive or transitive verbs are so called because they transmit the action from the subject to the object. Io mangio la mela. So, intransitive verbs convey complete meaning with the addition of an object. Io parlo. That's it. I haven't put anything else afterwards. So that becomes intransitive. Intransitive verbs convey complete meaning without the addition of an object. Roger hit conveys no special meaning. But Roger hit the car is the object, is a complete sentence. The verb hit is transitive. It rains, she smiles, intransitive. Makes sense without the addition of an object. But the verbs rain, smiles are intransitive. Many verbs can be transitive or intransitive depending on their use in a particular sentence. I am singing is intransitive, but I am singing a song is transitive. So you need the subject, the verb, the object. He grew is intransitive, but he grew a beard, transitive. So some can be transitive, intransitive. Very important to know the difference. Verbs consist of two voices, active and passive. 4 moods, infinitive, indicative, subjunctive, and imperative. And 3 principal, and then there is also there are, apart from the moods, there are also 3 others which we'll mention. The 3 other parts of verb, but they don't conjugate. They're only parts of the verb. And they're called the participle, the gerund, and the infinitive. And the infinitive of the verb is the one tremare, comprare, ballare. That's the only one that if you want to find out the meaning of that verb, you look up the infinitive of the verb in the dictionary. You can't look up the voices of the verb. There are 95 voices in a conjugation, 95. And we'll go through them. But that's it. Once you learn them, you know them forever. You can actually then teach it as well. And I've taught adults at Coburg Guy Evening School, adults who then became teachers of Italian. They went to perfect their Italian in Perugia, went overseas, and they enjoyed it. And they came back and began to teach as well. And it was wonderful to see. And I remember from university, I did Dante. There were 2 sisters there, Sister Confoy and I can't remember the other one, but they were brilliant because they really went into the study of Dante in details, whereas I ignored it, of course. Too young to appreciate the wealth that was being offered to me. Okay. So verbs consist of 2 voices, active and passive, 4 moods, infinitive, indicative, subjunctive, and imperative. 3 principal tenses, present, past, and future. 2 numbers, singular and plural, and 3 persons in each number. So when we do the tenses, we'll get to that. Okay? In the active voice, the subject of the verb is the doer of the action expressed. Now, I don't expect you to just listen to me. You don't have to worry about the fact, I didn't get that. We're going to come back to this over and over again. So this is only our first presentation. When you're in year 7, you don't learn everything that's being presented to you in year 7. You're lucky then if you know all what's been taught to you in year 7, in year 10. Because it takes time for knowledge to sort of be digested within you. It's not easy. I've been singing now for quite a while. You know why I've been singing now? Because somebody said to me, you can't sing. And he was a musician. And then I thought his game, I worked out his game, and I said, I'll show you. One day I'm going to sing. And now I've got the courage to actually sing in public without music. That's where lyrics of words come from. So all the negatives, you can turn them into positives. In the active voice, the subject of the verb is the doer of the action expressed. So there's also passive and active. Susan is eating. The active voice often expresses a state or condition. The river flows. The children rest. In the passive voice, the subject receives the action expressed. The apple was eaten. The car was hit. So I hit the car or the car hit me. So it depends on where you look. You can look at it from both sides. But one is active and the other one is passive. So if the action, your action falls on something else, is active. But if the action of this somebody else falls on you, is passive. Okay. Of the four moods, the infinitive is the word given in the dictionary. Oh, yes, my sister was one of them, and she's still very well. Of the four moods, the infinitive is the word given in the dictionary, dimostrare, to show, rimanere, to stay, and is in effect the name of the verb. It expresses the action itself without any reference to time or to the person doing the action. In Italian, the infinitive is called an indefinite mood and is discussed together with participles and gerunds. This book will discuss infinitives, participles and gerunds together as well. The indicative is by far the most used mood. It indicates or expresses a thing as a fact in present, past or future time rather than as a wish or possibility. Now, can I say this to you, Marisa, and anyone else who wants to come on a Tuesday? These lessons here are very important, directly with me, or you can pick up on what I do from Insegna.com, because I'm going to put these particular lessons there. I'm not repeating these. Once I've done the art, you know, what I've got to do, like the numbers, I'm not going to repeat them. I'll just say, go to lesson 5, because there's no need for it. But if you learn it yourself, you then can become a teacher yourself, because the way I'll do it is that not only will you be able to teach Italian, you'll learn it yourself, you'll be able to teach others and learn other languages as well, because the method is the same. If you then want to learn French or Spanish, or you're married to a Turkish or Greek guy, you can learn Greek. You just got to do it's only a different alphabet. And if you listen to what I have to say on a Thursday night historically, I'm going back to the hieroglyphics of the Egyptians. In other words, how the alphabet was developed, basically. So you don't need to have a particular alphabet in order to communicate. You can use pictures to communicate. But how effective is that? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Okay, now, I did quite a bit there. There's also here the subjunctive, the imperative, etc., etc. I'll do this next week. Or should I do that now? It's 12:18. I've got another 12 minutes. Now, I wanted to do another song. Let me do another song first, and then if I've got time, I will. This one here is called Il Tango delle Capinere. Just have something different, all right? This is an actual story, Il Tango delle Capinere. You know, Arizona is in America, right? That's where gold was found. Il Tango delle Capinere. Laggiù nell'Arizona, terra di sogni e di chimere, se una chitarra suona, cantano 1000 capinere. Hanno la chioma bruna, hanno la febbre in cor, chi va a cercar fortuna, vi troverà l'amor. A mezzanotte va la ronda del piacere e nell'oscurità ognuno vuol godere, son baci di passion, l'amor non sa tacere e questa è la canzone di 1000 capi nere. Il bandolero stanco scende la sierra misteriosa, sul suo cavallo bianco spicca la vampa di una rosa. Quel fior di primavera vuol dire fedeltà e alla sua capinera egli lo porterà. A mezzanotte va la ronda del piacere e nell'oscurità ognuno vuol godere, son baci di passione, l'amor non sa tacere e questa è la canzone di mille capi nere. Here is music there, or you can just whistle. E chi ritornerà lasciando le miniere, forse riporterà dell'oro in un forziere, ma il cuore lascerà tra mille capi nere. Now, capi nere is blackbird, but it's also, because in Arizona there was a particular Indian tribes, the indigenous tribe of America, and they all had capi nere. Okay, so this is a song about gold in Arizona, looking for gold, finding it, and then, of course, living. Eventually, you either succeed or you don't, and if you don't, the gold will go, but your memories of the good times you had with the capinere remains with you forever. And it's a beautiful song. And also, this particular song here is Il Tango. They sing it still in Italian clubs today. Okay, so that was capinere. That didn't take long. Now, this one here, we go back to the verb. We'll do all the verb today, because then I don't have to come back to this. Now, apart from the indicative mood and the conditional mood, there's a conditional mood as well. So indicative, conditional. There's the subjunctive mood. Has almost completely disappeared in English. Like, if I were a king, I would, do this. In English, it's if I were is a subjunctive, but we don't use that much. And people say if I was, which is wrong, technically, but it's what people say now. But it's still vigorous in Italian. In Italian, the subjunctive, if you speak Italian well, you will know the subjunctives. People can tell whether you're educated or not, whether you've learned your lessons or not, by the way you use the subjunctives. It expresses wish or possibility. Spero che, un giorno parlerò italiano. Se fossi ricca, darei tutti i miei soldi ai poveri. If I were rich. In English, if I were rich, that's if I were, that's the subjunctive. It is nearly always found in the independent sentences introduced by a form of che. So in other words, not the main sentence, it's this called study of syntax. Remember, I've already done phonology today, etymology, grammar, syntax. There are a lot of areas in language learning, in languages and words. It's a very big area. And believe it or not, I'm still learning all the time. So don't worry about it. It just means that perhaps sometimes you're a bit further up the ladder than the other person. And if the other person has got a lot of strength and, wish they can surpass you. In fact, the idea is that a teacher teaches so well, then the student passes the teacher. It's the way it is. It should be. Anyway, the imperative is only one tense. So for a full explanation, etc. So the subjunctive, we have to come back to that, of course. The imperative mood is used for giving an order or command. Si accomodi, zitta, ascolta. They are the imperatives. Va via, go away. The imperative has only one tense, the present, and only two persons, the second, you, singular and plural. You can't say mangia to yourself. You can't say mangia to a third person. So there are only two voices, the you, singular, and you, plural. That's it. However, expressions such as andiamo, but we can say let's go. Let's go is the we. It's an imperative. Mangiamo. Let's go. Let's sing. Let's dance. Let's do whatever. Okay, so you can use the first person plural for the imperative. If a verb has only one person or thing, as it's a subject, is a number. If it has only one person or thing, or as its subject, its number is singular. Okay. So if there's only one person, of course it's singular. If it has more than one person or thing as its subject, its number is plural. Let's go, then it's plural. I'm studying singular, they are fighting is plural. The first person is identified by the personal pronoun I and we, the second person by you and plural, and the third person by he, she, it, and they. Tenses are always arranged in the following order. The tense, the voices. First person singular, second person I paint. Second person singular, you paint. Third person singular, he or she, it paints. First person plural, we paint. Second person plural, you paint. Third person plural, they paint. Now that's important, okay? That's great. Now I had here 12:25. I want to do one more song. This one, I think Marisa knows. You will know this one. It's called Il cuore è uno zingaro. Nicola Di Bari. Okay, and notice here again, avevo, that's an imperfect tense. I had, you know, I used to have. Avevo una ferita in fondo al cuore, soffrivo, le dissi non è niente, ma mentivo, piangevo. Per te si è fatto tardi, è già notte, non mi tenere, lasciami giù. Mi disse non guardarmi negli occhi e mi lasciò cantando così. Che colpa ne ho se il cuore è uno zingaro e va. Catene non ha, il cuore è uno zingaro e va. Finché troverà il prato più verde che c'è, raccoglierà le stelle su di sé. E si fermerà, chissà, e si fermerà. Well done, Marisa. L'ho vista dopo un anno, l'altra sera, rideva, mi strinse. Lo sapeva che il mio cuore batteva. Mi disse stiamo insieme stasera, che voglia di risponderle sì, ma senza mai guardarla negli occhi. Io la lasciai cantando così. Che colpa ne ho se il cuore è uno zingaro e va. Catene non ha, il cuore è uno zingaro e va. Finché troverà il prato più verde che c'è, raccoglierà le stelle su di sé e si fermerà, chissà, e si fermerà. La 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 la. So that's another good song. And notice with this song here also the words. This song is important for the imperfect tense. Avevo una ferita, soffrivo, mentivo, piangevo. See all those verbs there. Il cuore è, non ha, then in the ritornello fermerà e si fermerà, future tense. Lo sapeva, mi disse stiamo insieme. Disse is a perfect tense. Again, it's an important way of learning a language and having some fun, doing il cuore uno zing, doing the songs. And welcome to Calvin. Hi, thank you for, coming up for a few minutes. I've only got 1 minute left, Calvin. All right, well, the thing is, in this 1 minute, I'm going to talk about Thursday evening, 7:25 to 8:30, and Sunday evening for Dante, and world history is on Thursday. But now I have put already on my Insegna.com website the first encounter of Inferno. You can watch them one after the other. You don't have to go on my Facebook page, and I put the first two programs of the Italian lessons and of the history, and in the next couple of weeks I'll put the rest on. I didn't have time with my technician. He was in a hurry to go, so I didn't put them on. Okay, so we sort of pretty well organized now in terms of doing this. And for you, Calvin, on Thursday night, the third part of our our conversation will go to air in world history as well. Okay, so that's the way it is. Well, thank you very much for whoever came. Well, a few people came, 3 people, but really most of my work is to do with the future. I do it now for the future, really. And so you can, this work won't be repeated. As I said, each week it's different, and each week I'll cover a different area of languages, and I will be bringing in other languages as well, but I want to consolidate the Italian first. Grazie mille di nuovo. Ciao, Marisa, Calvin, and also Zoraida came on that I can see, and then other people will do that during the week. Okay. Ciao a tutti, and now I will be at 1 o'clock. I'm on 3ZZZ for 10 minutes. Okay, ciao ciao. Tom Padula.